I also wanted to talk to you about creative fatigue, and if that is sort of like the number one reason as to why people and brands can't scale past a certain level. How do you view that? Is it creative? Is that the number one thing, or is there other areas that people are missing out on that could be holding them back from scaling?
I think certainly structurally, once you've got that soundly set up within a paid social ad account, what's the only other bit that you can really amend at that point? And, what element is it that you've got the most amount of control over? It's the creative at that standpoint. I think we have our systems and account structures that we run within all of our paid social accounts, our full funnel structures guiding people from, initial interaction with the brand right the way through down to the bottom of the funnel when people are kind of just on the edge to purchase. But once we've kind of got that solid structure in place, it really is the creative that then takes over in terms of, what's driving performance at that stage. Looking at the fatigue and that setting in, when you're putting such an onus on the creative and it driving, such a proportion of the results, you need to make sure that it's not fatiguing, because you want it to be continually fresh, as it were, to continue drive those results. I think one of the things that we see, within paid social ad accounts is one metric that, we're keeping a really close eye on is the click-through rate. That's kind of the main core metric that we look at when we're analysing creative. And the moment we kind of start to see that drop over a certain period of time, we know the creative is fatiguing at that point. Now, Facebook does have the functionality within the platform itself to tell you when creative is fatiguing, but generally we found it's quite slow, and we tend to pick up on it a lot quicker just by looking at the click-through rate drop-offs that we're seeing over a certain period of time. Now, I think one of the important things with keeping your click-through rate really, really healthy is the fact that Facebook's CPMs are just going up and up and up and up and up. And, it's becoming more and more expensive to reach people across the platform. If you're not getting people to engage with your ads and getting them onto site at that point, it's essentially wasted spend. If you can have your click-through rate on conversions campaigns above 1%, really, really good. And that's going to be driving like a good proportion of traffic through to your site and good high quality traffic through to the site. But the moment your click-through rate then starts dropping, the proportion of people that are then clicking through is getting less and less. Your CPMs are still remaining the same price because, that doesn't fluctuate at all in comparison to your click-through rate. So you're just getting less traffic through to your site for what you're paying for, essentially. Yeah. So that's why we always put, again, such a strong onus on trying to keep that click-through rate as high as possible. And the way to do that is keep, creative within the account fresh as much as possible. There's a fine balance. You don't want to change it too much because you're throwing the algorithm back into learning phase every time you're putting new creative into the account. But again, you also don't want to leave it too long that fatigue properly sets in and you can really see that click-through rate dropping off. So I think from an optimization standpoint, in terms of, the way that we're managing our paid social ad accounts, we usually tend to keep on, 2 or 3 of the best performing ads within each ad set, cull 2 of the worst performing. So for all the listeners out there, for context, we try and use 5 ads within each ad set as possible, which gives us kind of the best balance of volume across all of the ads and also a good level of testing as well. And essentially then we're just rotating creative in on that standpoint. So you've always got a level of consistency within the ad account, but then you're also managing to test new creative at that standpoint. And then you can see again which of those, sometimes creative fatigue sets in much quicker with some sorts of creative. Sometimes creative lasts a lot longer than some other types of creative. So again, it's just looking at the data and analysing that on a case-by-case basis.